The history of the British Isles is a long and confusing tale of being foreignly controlled, wars with each other, and holding the largest empire. But who currently controls these isles? How did they fall from an empire to small nations in the modern day? That is what this series will be on, the history of the British Isles. However, we will start the story in the modern day and go back in time to understand these nations. The current makeup of these isles are the United Kingdom, Ireland, and the Crown Dependencies. In a deeper look of the United Kingdom, it is made up of the kingdoms of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The Kingdom of Great Britain controls the island of Great Britain, which is made up of the nations of England, Scotland and Wales. The Kingdom of Northern Ireland is made up of the country of Northern Ireland. The Crown Dependencies are not sovereign nations but known as the responsibility of the UK. They are made up of three nations, the Isle of Man, the Isle of Jersey and the Bailiwick of Guernsey. The latter two are what make up what's known as the Channel Islands. Along with the Crown Dependencies, there are what's known as the Overseas Territories, but they will be covered later on. The island of Ireland comprises of two nations, the Republic of Ireland, more commonly known as Ireland, and Northern Ireland. These both used to be one entity, known as the Kingdom of Ireland, which was controlled by the UK until 1920, with the Government of Ireland Act, in which the two islands would be formed, both still under British control. However, the Irish Free State, what Ireland was known as before proper independence, was practically independent from 1921, but as a dominion, but officially recognised as independent by the British Crown in 1949 with the Ireland Act. All nations on the Isles are classified as democracies, however they are very different. The UK is a constitutional monarchy. This means governments are permitted to be formed by the monarch at the time. It has a parliament that votes on laws and acts. It has a prime minister who is a member of parliament and a supreme court that decides final laws that are legal and deal with cases. Although parts of the powers are blended together, the powers are still separated in some form in the UK, with a monarch as a figurehead but practically does not run the country. This is not stated in the constitution, as the UK's constitution is uncodified. Ireland is a parliamentary republic with a unitary government and a unitary state, with the parliament known as the Oireachtas having more power, but it is separated from the executive branch, the president, and the judiciary court. This is all stated in the constitution, which is codified. We'll go on about overseas territories. However, we will have to do a quick overview of the British Empire. In the future, we will do a greater dive into the empire, but here is a quick look. The British Empire was the world's largest empire, holding 13.7 million square miles, or roughly 24% of the world at its height in 1921. In 1913, it had a population of 412 million, or 23% of the world's population at the time. There were many types of divisions of the empire, the main ones being dominions, a self-governing country that was controlled by Britain and had the monarch as head of state, and colonies. Colonies can be subdivided into crown colonies, completely under the control of the monarch and no elected officials, and normal colonies, which had elected officials and could make decisions without government. However, it is important to note for the UK, most of their colonies were crown colonies. However, the empire began to collapse initially after World War I and completely after World War II. Most of the dominions and colonies broke away with only some crown colonies remaining. The empire was officially over in 1997 with the transfer of Hong Kong to China. Crown colonies' names were changed in 2002 with the British Overseas Territory Act, so overseas territories are all that remain after the empire collapsed. However, more are still drifting away, with most recently the archipelago of Chagos going to Mauritius being agreed to happen on the 21st of March 2025. Now, we will go on about the two nations' memberships in the main blocs in Europe, NATO and the EU. The UK is a part of the alliance pact called NATO. It was a founding member in 1948 and today it is composed of 32 nations. However, Ireland is not one of those countries. The final point we will go on to is the EU. Until 2020, both the UK and Ireland were in the EU. However, in 2016, the UK held the Brexit vote. However, did not officially leave until 2020. The EU in the future may get its own deep dive series, however, to cut short, it is an economic and political union of 27 European countries at the time of recording. They aim to encourage greater cooperation and unity between European countries. Thank you all for watching. I will post more on this series and more in the future. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. If you've got recommendations on what videos I should do in the future, please let me know. Thank you for watching the Historical Political channel. This is Ranger, signing off.